Well, we had a banger game to kick things off there and a pretty short one. Let's see if this one goes a little bit longer. It's Chiefs and Legacy for game number 2. Legacy looking pretty damn good yesterday. Chiefs, however, also getting that win on the board. So how about, I don't know, which way is this one going to go? It could go either way. Chiefs have been playing pretty well lately. But yeah, let's talk Chiefs first, hey? So far, so good. Jubes doing a very good job in coming second on the leaderboard at the moment. Do we think that they could take down Legacy today? I think yes. What are your thoughts, Juice?
I mean, they'd have to be favourites in this game and probably the most improved team in the league, right? Order would be up there too, actually. But, you know, both those two teams vying it out for who's been the most improved. But think again, Chiefs, week upon week, have find their identity. You know, Sway on these niche-y, you know, Everland type champions. Kisei on those, like, really aggressive mid-lane 1v1 matchups. Iboma and Draku, dynamic duo. Like, they're just all-round playing extremely well together at the moment. So they may have a little bit too much in the tank for Legacy, right, when it comes down to how they play the map, because Legacy are a team, you know, quite prone to throwing the game, and Chiefs will be there to catch that one. No worries at all.
Yeah, I can definitely see this one. Legacy, you know, kick things off with a nice solo kill in mid, a couple of roams, couple of kills up, you know, maybe 5-0, and then Chiefs just decide, hey, we want to win the game, so they stop doing silly things, and then Legacy, as we are expecting from them now, forget how to win the game, and then Chiefs win. But look, that's just my take on it. Clip it, ship it, and let's see how accurate I was at the end of the game. But we got to talk Legacy quickly as well. So Skimmy, tell me, if Legacy are to win this game, how are they going to do it?
Well, I think it all goes down through the mid lane. I think Incursia and Kisei are going to be where the most excitement comes from, because both of these players love to play the hardcore carry champions, love to, you know, show off their mechanics, are very keen to fight as well, where some champions or some players would much rather farm and wait for those big 15-minute power spike items and then decide, okay, we're grouping up, we're making a play. I think these two will be very exciting to watch. If it's not that, then I'd imagine top lane as well, because Winter has been improving so much since Split 1. Liv's obviously up in that category as well. So I think the solo lanes on both these teams are phenomenal. That's what I'm excited about. But we can't forget the fact that Why Not is coming into the roster today to replace Sybil. His first game for Split 2. He played a few games, a handful of games in Split 1. And I hope I haven't jinxed it. He didn't win a single game with Legacy in Split 1. So hopefully he can get off to a flying start here today.
Yeah, he certainly could. And I'm excited to see what champs he's going to play, because last time we got to see him play, I think he was on the Kha'Zix. That was when we saw it.
Yeah, that's right.
It didn't go so well. He is very good on the Kha'Zix usually, but obviously competitive play is a whole different beast to ye old ranked. Now, let's see how it goes today. Again, Chiefs coming off of a win last time both the teams went head-to-head. They made this game look relatively easy as far as I remember. This is when they started to just go absolutely crazy, right, Juice?
This was the game where Swaif just hogged off on Kindred.
Yeah.
I mean, he had, I think, what did he have, like, is that 16? That's 16. He's got 16 marks in this game.
Yeah, that game, okay.
Like, I just saw it there in the bottom left, was making sure it wasn't a bug. So, I mean, that was like, I think that game actually was like the game where we really realized these Chiefs were the real deal, because they were kind of backwards and forwards, left, right, up, down, but never just straight line. And, you know, this was the real game where Swaif had a big performance, Kisei turned it around, and the Chiefs were here to play.
Yeah, well, we have someone else that wants to play, or at least have a say. That's Nat. Let's bring it back into the conversation. How you doing? You had a nice little 5-minute break. Did you have dinner? Did your DoorDash come?
Yeah, my DoorDash came, and my dog, he just loves delivery drivers in the sense that, like, he will, like, immediately, delivery drivers are just their best friends, and now he's, like, sitting at my lap trying to get picked up.
Oh, cutie. Now, we have 2 more cuties that are waiting for an interview, right?
Oh, we do. We have Winter and Boma joining me for the interview. Thank you both so much for joining me. Winter, I love the shades. I love that you're already ready. Is this going to be in preparation for the victory dance tonight?
Yes, no, it's just a handicap for myself. I don't want to punish them too hard tonight.
I love the confidence. But look, last time you faced up against Chiefs, unfortunately, you guys lost the 2 last games. So what have you taken away from that, and what do you think is going to be your advantage for tonight?
Well, last time we all just messed up ourselves. We didn't really learn anything, but this time we're all in good condition, and we have a baby in our jungler. We got a jungler. No, we got a baby in our jungle. Yeah. So we'll see how this works out.
I I do want to ask about the why not roster swap. Are you guys prepping a lot and scrimming a lot with him? And how comfortable are you guys with him coming into the jungler position?
Yeah, he's been performing really well in Scrim recently, and we're looking for him to carry 1v9 soon.
Awesome. That's some big shoes that Why Not has to fill tonight. He has to 1v9. But Mboma, on the side of Chiefs, you guys have beaten Legacy in the past. Does the confidence carry through for tonight's game, even with the Why Not roster swap?
Yeah, definitely. We're not going to underestimate them because they're definitely trying something new with their roster, but we're very confident that we match up well into Legacy today.
Who is going to be the biggest threat on the side of Legacy for you guys over at Chiefs?
Probably, I'd say Incasio. I thought he had a pretty good game yesterday in Yone, so I'd say probably going to watch out for him. And he does solo kill our mid laner a lot, so I think that's probably the one spot where we're sort of worried, but other than that, we're pretty chill.
All right, that mid lane is where we'll have to keep our eyes. And also, what do you think is going to be your advantage tonight other than potentially momentum?
I think just in lanes and in general, we match up pretty well into them across the board, and I'm pretty confident bot lane. And Kuden's been doing some really good drafts recently, so I think that we're probably going to get a lead from the draft and be able to close it out from there.
With us coming down now to 2 days instead of the super week, Mboma, has it given Chiefs a lot more time to be able to prep and organize, you know, I guess, what you're going to do up against your opponents this week?
Yeah, I think we definitely like the shorter weeks rather than the super weeks, especially when the patches are changing a lot. I think we were a little bit slower to adapt on a couple of the patch changes, and our drafts are a little bit wishy-washy, but now that it's getting closer to 11:15 and even on this patch, I think we're really confident that we can win versus pretty much any team.
Is that a similar sort of sentiment over at Legacy for you guys, Winter, enjoying the 2-day weeks to allow more prep time?
Oh, wait, me? Oh. Wait, what was the question?
Yep.
Sorry.
Yep. I'll read it. It's all good. I just said, is it the same sort of sentiment for Legacy? Do you guys enjoy these 2 days, and does it give you more prep time?
Oh, yeah, definitely, for sure. Even though everyone's university have started, but we definitely have more time to practice, so it's really good. Yeah.
I'm hoping to see a great performance from both you guys then. The last question I do want to ask before I let you go, though, is the split has been a lot longer than our split one. So I want to know, what do you think has been the biggest improvement for you personally, if you want to start, Winterer?
Wait, I can't hear anything. One sec.
Okay,
Can
I'll ask
you repeat the
Mboma.
question,
Mboma, if
please?
you... Oh, I'll ask Mboma first, but Mboma, what do you think has been your biggest personal improvement over this split?
I think the split, we've improved a lot laning bot lane, and I think it sort of shows in our standings. And I think for Chiefs overall, we weren't a team that's ever played together before, so just having a longer split and more time to practice definitely benefited us, and I think we can match up pretty well into Pentana, and we even beat them. So I think that the longer split is pretty good for the teams that haven't had a lot of time to gel together, and I think we're definitely getting better as a team for sure. So I think it's been good for us.
Yeah, definitely. Winter, what I asked was, you know, what do you think has been your biggest personal improvement over Split 2?
I think our biggest improvement is definitely laning and macro. Even though our macro is still trash, I definitely improved a lot. And having this long split is really good. Like for weak teams like us, we have more chance to beat other teams, and it's really fun. And we get to see Mboma without beard.
Well, look, tonight could be the night that you get one of those wins against the other team. But I will let both of you go. Thank you so much for joining me, and good luck tonight.
Yoza. Thanks, Nat.
Everyone's just getting around it. Always good to see Winter there, and even though I forgot who he was there for a moment.
I feel like maybe I just said Winter too fast, and he was like, that's not me, she's still talking to Mboma.
Well, I heard it, that's all I'm saying. And then he was on the single, and he's like, oh wait, are you talking to me? Oh, he's too cool, he's just so alpha. Now, let's have a look at the predictions going into game number 2. and which way everyone's swinging. Looks like it's Chiefs on the first page. I, of course, have gone with you at home, Twitch chat. All right, make my prediction happen, please. Thank you. Jump onto page number 2. Nat, I believe you got your predictions in this time.
Yes, I did. When we were in game 1, I did quickly jump on it and hand in my predictions. And I did put Legacy here. I think the roster change might bring something new that Chiefs isn't expecting. Not necessarily draft-wise, but in gameplay style. You know, shot calling could be changing up for them. Direction could really be changing up. We don't know what happens behind the scenes. But I do think that if Legacy are going to have a chance to beat Chiefs, this is a really good one.
Okay, and it looks like Rusty believes in Why Not as well, so he's gone for Legacy alongside you. And Elfish Boy, who's not here this evening, he has gone for Chiefs too. So, Jubes, you want to tell me why Elfish Guy's gone for Chiefs?
No, I just laughed because he said Elfish Boy, and you know his name's Guy. But
yes.
I think he's just gone for them, much for the same reasons that Imboma said. You know, they've improved in their laning, improved in their 2v2. And that they're going to run away with it because of that.
Yeah, alongside Elfish Guy, there's Elfish Boy, there's Elfish Man, there's Elfish Person, there's Elfish Human, and Jordan is my favorite for him as well. So we're cool. We go on first name basis sometimes. However, if you're hungry to learn why I call Jordan, exclamation DoorDash in chat, and you too can probably, maybe even order yourself dinner and find out the answer to all the questions that you guys have about anything really, you know. And if you do have any questions, before we jump into the match, make sure you get your phone, you bloody take a little video, you say, hey Mac, how you doing? Can you please ask Skimmy for me why he's so beautiful? And tell Jubes he's beautiful too. Yeah. We just already know that he was born beautiful.
Be careful with that one, buddy.
And
look,
then,
I was worried.
LCO,
Slipped in right there.
I was worried for Jubes when it was just starting with me, and I just knew you were like, come on. Tell me as well.
Yeah, where is it? Where's my compliment?
were-
I want some bloody compliments, huh?
I tell you were about to be a caster down, that's for sure. I wouldn't even have said anything. I would have just
Would have
dropped
been a solo
out.
cast.
Whatever.
We just leant over
Outta
and just
here.
turned the PC off and went,
I would, honestly, I would do it, but if it wasn't for Phil, so I can't.
It's true.
I like Phil.
You have a new nickname for Mr. Phil
Please
Witherby,
don't say it.
don't you? Do you remember it?
You gotta remember the right one.
I forgot what it was because I know there's the one that I'm thinking of is I can't say it.
It's Philly Wonka.
Yep.
So we have a
Philly
new
Wonka,
cute
yep.
name for our producer that Jubes came up with earlier. Do we have any pet names for any of the players in this server? Can you make some cool nicknames up while the cast is going on just to confuse everyone in chat?
Pet names. Well,
why not? Surely Why Not has to have one, right? Because he's the only player I feel like we don't get to talk about often. We
Poster
have
boy.
to come up with one right now for him.
he calls himself Poster Boy. He's Legacy Poster Boy.
Okay.
Yeah.
He does have very nice skin, I will say that. I've
Oh.
seen, like, because you talk about poster boys, normally they're like always
True.
the best looking in the team. Why Not does have, I will give him hands down, man. Whatever skincare routine he uses, you gotta post that one on YouTube.
Well, we can look on YouTube and see if we can find Why Not skincare routine. But for now, it's time for the game. Ladies and gentlemen, here's Champ Select.
Beautiful, Mac. Well, let's kick on with the game. We're not talking about skincare. We're talking about gaming. League of Legends. Chiefs taking on Legacy. It's the El Clasico that you just love to see. And it has been dominated by the Chiefs this year, but Legacy on the rise, still looking pretty strong in their early games. Just that final product that really has been the burden of their season here, Jubes.
Yeah, it definitely has. But, you know, again, like, this is the beauty about where we're at in this season. Whilst it's been their burden, they can also turn something, whatever it is, I don't know, is it Why Not? They can turn that into their greatest strength. Because playoffs is still very much on the cards for Legacy as a team.
Yep.
And, you know, the thing that I like to see here so far from the draft is that they're taking away the Evelyn. Evelyn's just the unknown anomaly. Like, no team plays it. You don't get much practice against it. You have no idea, like, the actual... I guess every player, every professional has an understanding of what champs do. But until you play, you don't actually know the ins and outs. And ins and outs in competitive play are really what gets you wins. And you can see how well Swaith performs on these champions as to, you know, the advantages he gets. So I'm happy to see that one taken away.
Yeah, and the handshake of the OP champions of Viego and Gwen this time will not be matched. They've been taken away. The jungle bands also. You talk about the Evelyn. We got to touch on the Nidalee as well, because Why Not is a fantastic Nidalee. We've seen Babbitt play it once so far. Obviously, a future patch with some more buffs going towards that particular one, but it's going to be interesting to see what Why Not can bring to the table, because, you know, he does have a slightly different champion pool to offer than Sybil.
He does, and Nidalee being, you know, the big champion of choice for him. I mean, he's, I guess, made his name in solo queue for really just spamming the Nidalee. Even plays the top lane, much to the dismay of a lot of players, but
Sure.
it happens. And obviously, the Diana being locked in, I dare say that's going in the jungle. Nunu hover is not going to be a thing. But you know, this Aurelia pick, it feels like Legacy do not have a prio on this champion. You know, this is the second time now in recent weeks where they've given away the Aurelia, and they've honestly just matched the Sylas to the Aurelia. And the Sylas has had a pretty bad time, but they've just been able to put enough jungle pressure on that lane so that the Aurelia falls behind. But again, I don't think you can keep rolling that dice, because a 2v2, as well as you play it, you can set up for it, you can execute, you can talk about it, and there's a lot of things that go into the variability of a 2v2, but eventually it's a coin flip, right? Because like you don't know what they're doing, and you know, you can make your best guesses, but it's ultimately a coin flip for 2v2 sometimes in the river. And you know, if there's anything that coin flips has taught me, sometimes you lose. If there's something that solo queue's taught me,
those are odds.
Yeah.
Odds in a nutshell. You've explained it. As clear as daylight right there. And worth noting that the only person that's played on the Chiefs so far has been Kissei in the mid lane. Yet to see it played from Liv. Only 4 games. Actually 3 games on this current patch 11-14 where it has received a significant rework. But looking like we're going to guarantee our bot lanes here as Chiefs have opted in for the Ziggs Leona. So a lot of explosive damage and CC to pretty much take down anybody that they can lay their eyes on. Worth noting that last time these teams met, actually both times, it's always been Draku going for the Blitzcrank, so he exclusively picked it into this composition. Not going to try and keep Melk down because he's a very proficient player in his own regard too, but they've opted from Legacy for the Ezreal Braum.
I know that Rusty has Kittens when Braum's drafted, and particularly I don't really like Ezreal Braum as like a 2v2. However, in this particular game, coming into a Ziggs, coming into an Ezreal, coming into a Leona, coming into a Ziggs Aurelia Leona, the Braum makes a bit of sense, right? It's in particular, the lane itself is a good one for the Ezreal Braum, but then in terms of the Aurelia diving backline, it's a lot of peel, a lot of utility, a lot of CC. So I guess, you know, where Legacy's head's at, it makes a little bit of sense. But again, it's what Legacy have drafted right now doesn't shut down the Ziggs. And now my problem or my concern is that you're going to put an emphasis on this Aurelia to put this Aurelia behind, but that means the Boomler's just going to be, what, 10 CS per minute on the Ziggs, and, you know, the ultimate's going to be on a very short cooldown, and he's going to cause a little bit of chaos. So I think Legacy need to round their composition out with something that maybe can get on top of the Ziggs, or at least a little bit of mobility to stop the Ziggs from doing damage.
I'm curious to see if they can lock in anything they can look to try and defuse the combo that could come out here from Chiefs to guarantee that Mega Inferno Bomb you know, finds its mark, because they've gone for the Trundle that we've seen Liv play that a lot on the top lane. The Kane as well. Pocket pick from Swaif, an Assassin champion that can obviously be played the red variant too, but a bit of focus now shown towards Incursio. The Kiana ban first of all, the Assassin's removed, the aggression with the Lucian too. And this is an area that I said was going to be explosive. I'm glad the players sort of shared the same sentiment, because these two surely are, you know, blood-hungry mechanical means of just, you know, come at us, let's see what happens.
I don't mind, well, I don't mind Ornn in general in the meta. I think it's a pick that if you can get away with playing it, particularly on a weak side, or something to just really scale into the mid-game, I really like it. But I guess this is the problem. You're coming up against the set team, and you're coming up with a team that's already drafted Aurelia. In terms of the 1v1, you know, Aurelia has a very good time into the Ornn, right? It is very hard for Ornn to play the game. And then, you know, much like the set lane as well. So both of Chief's solo laners lane extremely well into the Ornn. And if anything, you're adding to Set's teamfight prowess by giving him a bigger body to use the slam jam, bam, wham, space jam.
And then the thank you, ma'am, to seal the deal.
Yeah,
absolutely.
thank you, ma'am. I knew I was missing something.
I know.
Thanks
Look,
for...
mate, I've got you, bro. And that's why we're a partner.
That's
because
why we're a duo.
This is it. This is it. Worth noting, actually, given that Winter has played a whole host of different champions, had some phenomenal performances on him. This will be his first game of Ornn for the entire year. So, what a game to bust it out on, to do it against somebody like, you know, Liv, to very proficient in the same regard. Sejuani to round out the comp. It's a pocket pick from Swaif with the Assassins denied away. But then you can say the same for Incursio, who finally gets the Yasuo.
Back in my heyday, where you know, I was a professional player, Aurelia got reworked and was just like one of the most broken mid laners in the game. And Yasuo was like the old school kind of counter pick that you could play into it, in the sense that it's still not a fun time, because you can lose the matchup. However, the win wall interaction into the Aurelia, you can negate the Aurelia E, you can negate the Aurelia ultimate, and you know, there's a lot of value, especially if you're good with the timing on this Yasuo. Now to top that off, Yasuo Diana as a 2v2 is unbelievable. The problem is you need to make level 6 because you've got the Aurelia with the Sejuani, which is more of a potent 2v2, you know, pre-6. So, I mean, this is going to be a very big jungle mid game, right? Like, jungle mid is the biggest pivot for this game. And it's honestly a little bit of a statement game if you're why not, right? Because if you dominate this game, if you even just win it, particularly with how these drafts have played out, then, I mean, you've really just set the tone for the rest of the split, but also made a name for yourself.
I mean, for sure. As we mentioned already, you know, he's yet to find a victory on this roster. So what about a super sub late into the season where the team are, you know, fighting for playoffs, where it is so neck and neck right now in that 5th and final spot that if you can get that W, you can, you know, knock Chiefs down a perch. Not only are you getting yourself into a better position, but you're also, you know, disrupting the top half of the table too. So I'm really excited for the amount of different storylines to take place here. You talk about mid jungle. I'm looking at top lane too. Finally, Livs is going to get to show us what it looks like when he gets to play the Aurelia too. We know that those two very keen to, you know, flex their might. So new champions really across the board, but a lot of comfort too. That's going to have some pretty interesting milestones we're going to have to keep track of.
Yeah, Skimmy, I'm going to be honest with you. I might need you to repeat that one. It's got some confirmation in my ear, so I did miss a part of your sentence.
Okay. What's the confirmation? Are we've got a few minutes until we can get ourselves into the game?
Yeah, just a couple. Just a cheeky couple. Not sure if I can repeat, but anyway, we'll take it as... oh, okay, so it is actually the set top lane and the Aurelia mid lane. That's the confirmation that I got.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
I wasn't sure if it's
the wrong way.
competitive. I didn't want to be competitive. The guy that, you know, competitive integrity, then I get in trouble, like, you know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Yeah, I thought I'd rather just, you know, play the... Hey guys, I know a secret, but I'm not going to tell you. You know that guy?
Yeah.
No one likes that guy, but
Can
I
I tell
was
you
him.
something? Oh, wait, never mind. And you're like, well, you just told me. I have to know now, right?
That was literally me just then. I just got, guys, I just got info, but I can't tell you.
I saw it in your eyes, but you've linked it to us here anyway. Good information. Well, I suppose that kind of changed the tune back to not being as wild as it was, more so kind of in line with what these players are about, right? Because we've seen Liv play a whole host of set games. That says Winter, I think it's their most played, if I'm not incorrect, for this split in particular. So they feel like the set players. It's actually been an explosive matchup topside, but in Kissy running it back again for a second time on the mid Aurelia. How do you see that matchup now going into this Yasuo?
Yeah, look, like I said to you, or like I was talking about in Champion Select, the Yasuo can win wall and majority of Aurelia's abilities. Obviously, if Aurelia's just been made to play in the minion wave and has like full stacks on, and it's just turbo queuing the wave, then, you know, when it comes down to the trades, you're going to come up better for wear. Yep. But I guess the point of difference from the really good Yasuo players is, are you able to deny the Aurelia the Q reset, right? Because if you can only Q once, there's obviously the realm in which you win that, particularly if you can get that knock up. But it's I don't necessarily think the game's coming down to a 1v1. I know it sounds kind of forehead to say, but, you know, these junglers, both junglers, have been drafted to facilitate their mid laners. Like, Diana just flies on in, uses the ultimate, gets a knock up, if you will, on multiple members for the Yasuo. In particular, you know, when he ganks in the mid lane at level 6. Yep. So I'm just super keen to see if we can get a bit of a stalemate to level 6 and see which jungler can do it first.
But I'm actually for the firework explosion.
Well, these drafts, like, and this is why I love the league, because these drafts are so kind of, I guess it's a little bit out of left field. It's not what we see all of the time. You know, if you look internationally, you don't see the Aurelia Sejuani pairing. You do see a little bit of Diana and Yasuo. It was particularly played in the LCK to some pretty good success. But I mean, Sedge Aurelia, that's old school, man. That's rolling back the clock. Like, that's making me think I can almost come back and play the game, right? I can fire up a Sejuani. Tell you what.
We would be a little bit upset, though, because, you know, all the fans in chat that love your casting, that love to call you beautiful, they wouldn't be there, mate. They'd be seeing a far smaller screen of you back in game.
Can I just say, the people that call me beautiful, that's actually my mum on burner accounts.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
Well, you know, that's the best parent anyone could ever ask for.
Mate, I got a face that my mother can love.
Well, on that bombshell, let's bring Ceres into the discussion and talk about this draft. Talk about this matchup. Legacy taking on Chiefs, mate. It's been, I suppose, a whirlwind few weeks with how close things are in the run to playoffs. I suppose, to put it bluntly, you know, you subbed in Why Not here today. First game of the split. Why now?
Well, to be completely frank, every single time we played against Chiefs, we've basically gotten destroyed, right? Like, just to be honest, and we have to be realistic here, they're a really good team. So if we were to try something new, I think this would be an excellent point to do it, in which kind of we're not realistically expecting to win, but you know, maybe we can prepare ourselves and, you know, like best explore the options in preparation for playoffs and for the critical matches that are ahead, right? We've got Direwolves, Mammoth, and Peace, all of which we're either 2-0 or 1-1 against. And so, yeah, like we want to do everything that we can to make sure we know exactly how we're going to win those 3 games.
Yeah, and touching on that in a second, I wanted to say, given how much we've heard from Sybil being a big vocal component of the roster, you know, breaking down the layers of the sub, is there more to it as in terms of, you know, different champions between the two of them, different play styles, different ways to try and challenge perhaps Swaif in particular, knowing that he is a big component of Chief's success?
Yeah, absolutely. Sybil and Why Not bring two completely different things to the roster. I won't go exactly in depth about that, but, you know, champion pool is definitely one of them.
You can't leak everything, mate.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, you'll notice, yeah, like we're already kind of playing inherently new champions. As soon as he's on the roster, and there's a reason for that.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, so we'll go back to your point from previous, where you mentioned that, you know, the run to the end of the season, right? With 5 games left, you know, every game becomes that much more important with the head-to-heads, as you say. Yeah, so I suppose really, how was the mood in the camp? You know, how are the boys feeling, knowing that, you know, playoffs is still within reach and it is going to be a very tight finish to get there?
Yeah, I think yesterday was very disappointing for everybody, because not only did we expect ourselves to win, we put ourselves in the position to win that game. You know, like we had a commanding lead in our mid lane, and there's no way that they really should have scaled in the way that they did. So, you know, with that in mind, we just had to, you know, look forward to the 3 games, like I said, that we placed an emphasis on, and focus really, really hard on winning those. So these next 2 games, while it'd be nice if we could pick up a win, I don't think it's necessarily required for us to make playoffs, and that's ultimately just the goal. Right? We just want a spot so we can prove ourselves in the best of 5.
Yeah, fantastic. And I think that's what a lot of teams want to, right? We've seen how many spicy drafts there have been in this best-of-1 format. Talking about the draft, I'm not sure if Juice wants to chime in here, but we sort of looked at the mid-jungle, really for both teams being so exciting, given that on one hand, you can talk about the passive of Sejuani really allowing Kisei to get a big lead early on, at least pre-6, but you talk about level 6 for you guys, that could be where, you know, Why Not really truly introduces himself to the audience at home.
Yeah, 100%. We like the Yasuo matchup, as Juice mentioned. There's a lot of skill involved here, and I think Incurcio is an excellent player when it comes to taking skill matchups. He wins those 1v1s more often than not, so I place my bets on him. So we gave him a lot of tools to outplay the opponents. You know, like Yasuo Windwall is excellent as a Sedge and Aurelia. You can't Sedge or you can't ulti through it. There's a lot of options for him to work with, and I trust that he's going to do it.
Beautiful. Anything from yourself, Juice?
Yeah, I mean, that was going to be one of my questions, to be honest with you.
Oh,
However, you've stolen that one away. But I mean, in terms of confidence, right? Obviously, you know, you certainly have champions that you're feeling far more confident on, and you know, if it's a grand final game, maybe you draft this, maybe you don't. But I mean, you have to give us the goals. Like, how is Incurcio feeling on this Yasuo? Is it something that is maybe a little bit?
No, he's very confident on Yasuo, mate. Yeah, for sure. It's one of his most played champions, actually. Yeah, 100%. Even in solo queue this season, I think it's up there. Obviously, there's Katarina, and nothing compares, but it's up there with the rest of his champions for sure, and his comfort.
Yeah, fantastic. And I mean, have you played a little bit of a mentor role for Why Not coming into this game? Because it's a crucial part of the season. I know you talk about not necessarily needing a win this game, but I mean, is there nerves? Like, is there nerves for him? Do you have to give him a little bit of a pep talk?
100%. There's going to be nerves for him, right? Because he's got this one game to show for himself, and it's a really huge game, and it's against one of the best teams in the league. So the best thing to do is to try and set him up in an environment which he's the most comfortable, you know, and try to make it as familiar as possible. So give him a bit of time to adapt, and not as much as he had hoped, but hopefully it was enough.
Yeah. He's thrown into the deep end of the swimming pool. He's
sure.
He's got a show up here today. Well, appreciate your time as always, Series. It's a pleasure. And look, we're going to crack on with the game. Wish you boys the best of luck.
Right, take it easy.
Well, here we go, Juves. A bit of a longer chat, I suppose. We're kind of blessed in that regard, not having to overlap here with the Curse of the First Blood, but might get a weird and wild insight into any crazy shenanigans to start this game off.
Yeah, fan out. Ward dropped early for the potential invade. Obviously resetting, picking up the sweeper on Diana. And again, this is a really, I was going to say really nice ward that's going to catch the invade from Swathe, but he just does, he mirrors that. So, a lot of value here for Why Not, because he's actually got the sweeper. He'll complete this buff and he will do his raptors, and then he'll be able to sweep that ward away. And just win in the gold department, get a little bit of a gold lead.
Cheeky gold lead at the start of this one.
Yeah.
As the Melga's going to look to try and do the same as well and cancel out some vision. Going to get that gold across to Styled or not. Not too sure where the rest of the Chiefs are, especially their bot lane. And don't want to take any unjust risk this early on.
Sejuani's first clear is actually pretty quick. I mean, all things considered, with the way that the pop on the E works. So keep your eyes on Swathe. Maybe he'll look for an early gank in the mid lane, maybe a level 3 gank, but Incursio would have to be aware. Oh, misses the Q. I'm so keen, man. I'm genuinely...
You just know it's going to explode, right? Like you're waiting for it. It's like a countdown to New Year's. It's coming. Level 6 to wait for.
No win wall yet, so Kisei definitely getting priority in this one. You know, Incursio not really want to push this one out and try and trade in that wave or fight in the wave against an Aurelia. Nice
Big
trade.
aggressive trade from Styled. Yeah, absolutely jumping in. Emil lays the passive down, looking for one more auto, and a stun could have landed on pretty much anyone.
And this is what the Braum lane does so well into the Leona, right? Leona, the only way that, I guess, the trading pattern is to go forward. I mean, you can have that non-committal ultimate, if you will, but you have to go in eventually. And you just get stunned up by the Braum. Ezreal can proc them pretty quickly. Auto-attack reset with the Q, with the Mystic Shock. So, yeah, maybe bot lane blows up. I doubt it, but, you know, early trades. And again, this is that lane, topside, you're going to have no priority in. I mean, Liv just going to have perma-prio and permanently win that 1v1 for as long as Winterer wants to fight it. So, again, we already know Winterer's job isn't really going to be winning that side. It's going to be able to come to the group, force those team fights, and have a bigger influence when the time comes. Keep in mind, you can passively influence the game on Ornn as well. I mean, you know, there's the realm in which level 13, 14 ticks around and not much has happened. It's a bit of a slow one.
Yeah.
And you're just upgrading ornaments instead.
And that's what I was pretty much going to talk about is, you know, is this the next variation of Legacy stylistically going into a team like Chiefs, where they say, you even heard it from their coach, that, you know, they are the favorites. Maybe this could be the deal breaker that allows us to hit the 25-minute mark. Let's see what happens here, though. As multiple members looking to run themselves through mid, and Mel pops his head in, out of vision. Was available if a fight were to break out. Both junglers were there, so it's a good read there by Melk.
I mean, this is really good for Legacy, right? Because that wave gets pushed under turret. Incursio could have, and he'll probably do it on this wave, get a reset in. Has the teleport as well. It was a cannon wave, so honestly, Incursio probably could have reset wave before this, but he'll push this one in and lose the cannon as a result. He may even greed for the cannon, and this could be dangerous.
Looking for it. They're going to buffer up that stun right now. They're going to try and sidestep this one. Does so successfully. The wind will went out just in case. Swathe pops his head mid once again, but Incursio is going to go for that reset now to match the item advantage that Kisei has found.
And Swathe's going to wait for the teleport back onto the mini wave, because you know Incursio has the TP because of the state that his wave's in. Now he has a pot advantage. Well, he didn't even pick up a pot. I was going to say he has pot advantage.
Nice.
But that's good ward, yeah.
Really good ward there. Yep. Swathe for cancel recall multiple times, so that's a lot of time wasted from him now. That's free vision and tempo, more so than anything, right, for Why Not?
And that's the big thing. I'm glad you touched on it, right? Diana's a tempo jungler. And Sejuani could be considered a bit of a tempo jungler as well, right? Because you want to get to that level 6. But I mean, and that's another ward. I mean, the most volatile 2v2 is just being perma warded out. And they know he's in this bush. But I'll hold the thought, because I don't mind this from Why Not, in the sense that Incursio is in a really volatile spot that he really needs to wait for Incursio to push that wave in. Because Incursio can get ganked. If he dies, it's pretty much lane over. And it's good disciplined play. And I like to see that out of players that come from solo queues and they understand how competitive jungling works, right? It's not all about just perma camps on cooldown, full clear, get a level lead and just carry the game. You actually have to do stuff for your laner. Now, bit of a CS lead though on Kisei. I think it's just really come down to better wave manipulation. each time that Why Not's popped his head into the wave, Incursio's just been trying to hard push it as opposed to really focusing on the CS.
Vision's been a massive priority for him, right? Making sure that he isn't going to get collapsed upon. He can hit that level 6. He's very close to it. Top lane's where you're talking about where Perma would be for this set, and you can sort of see it now starting to truly emerge with a 20 CS leads so early on into this one.
And it's like, it's not even, I'll be honest, it's not even like really a skilly in the sense that Set just walks past the wave and just Perma wins trades, no matter what the Ornn does. I mean, when Ornn has Bramble Vest, like it gets a little bit better, but I mean, it's never going to be a point in which Winter is going to be able to successfully shove that wave out in the 1v1 and do anything about it. And I mean, we may even just see a dive here straight 100 to 0. Lived is a little bit chunked. We'll have to see who tanks turret first. Keep in mind, Sejuani passive is very good at turret dives.
Yeah, Permafrost, as you say, definitely could lock this member in place. If he can try and buffer it with the Bellow's Breath, might be enough. Both junglers now looking for cross-map plays, but Why Not has level 6, whereas Sejuani does not. Looking for Mboma, Satchel Charge on the spot, Moonfall to take him out first blood here. For Legacy, they committed the TP as well, and they found nothing top.
Yeah, that's huge. Winter actually stopped the teleport from Lived with the Ornn Horn. And I mean, that's a very clean dive coming out of Why Not. And good composure from him too, right? Because, you know, I would expect most junglers to just go in there, start tanking turret as Diana. But he waited for a little more poke to go down on Mboma. And he tried not to use the ultimate. It was cheeky from Why Not, but I mean, because the teleport came on through, he decided to just use it. And it's a successful dive. And very good heads-up play and good laning from Emelgan Style.
Fantastic laning by Emelgan Style as they're now able to find themselves not only a bit of gold in their back pocket, but blow open this CS lead in their own regard, right? Look to try and fix the lopsided nature of how the strength will be found in these opening moments to start this game off with.
Level 6 on right.
Getting a little more rough for Incursio. Glacial Prison is there, but Incursio, it's a bit of a skill check as to when's he going to pop that wind wall, but pretty protected under that tier 1.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, this is a little bit of an evolution of Incursio. Like, if I was a betting man, I would have said, you know, Incursio is going to be playing for the 1v1. He's just going to be perma-trading in this lane, and he's going to be really susceptible to ganks. But he's done a pretty good job in staying safe. Yeah, it's been at the expense of CS. It's been at the expense of pulling Why Not around the map just a little bit. But, I mean, for the most part, it's not been that, I guess, volatile legacy that we're used to seeing. And yep, maybe that's the cool head of Why Not. Maybe Sybil is that guy. Level 6 here on Dragku.
Yeah, he's going to look to try and engage onto Emelg so far, but he puts up the door. Can't be too far from level 6 himself. Mid lane truly is the focus. Yep. If we haven't said it enough, we've hyped it up to be the area where this game truly could explode. No kill participation for them so far.
So, Waif, this is a good pickup. I mean, it is watered out, but Chiefs just have too much priority topside for that to really be contested. And I like this from ML, right? We have two self-susceptible 80 carries in the bot lane. Like, you got Ezreal, doesn't really need any assistance in lane. You got the Ziggs, much of the same. Yep. So we're seeing both supports just leave and trying to influence the most volatile lane. And I still find that so hilarious. We talk about it being the most volatile lanes, and it's probably been the most unimpactful just because the ward coverage and the way these mid laners have been playing so reserved.
We've got eyes in the sky, watching this like a hawk right now. There's been a lot of vision. Out goes the last breath, but the Glacial Prison will follow things up. A two-man Minvu. Kissing in trouble. Tries to hit them with the Vanguard's edge, but falls on down. Why Not gets double buff? True Shot Barrage comes from downtown, and Swafer's already far gone from that. But that is the first kill in the mid lane. Yeah,
and I mean, this is what I was talking about, how the 2v2 is favored for Legacy at level 6, right? Yeah, it was a little bit disjointed. Incursio plays that pretty well to survive. And Kisei, honestly, was probably baiting a little bit too hard for the gank. He forced Incursio's ultimate, which was good. But Why Not is just there. And I mean, it's what happens when you draft the volatile 2v2. It actually, your job as a jungler becomes a lot easier. Because you've drafted a safe top lane and a safe bot lane. So Why Not in his head, when clearing camps, he knows, I only need to hover mid lane. As you see him here, from a jungle camp, straight pathing to mid. And it's just a really good counter gank. And, I mean, a stiff breeze and Why Not falls down there too, right? So it's definitely not one-sided as we would have liked, but I'm excited.
It was close, it was clutch. Both junglers committed their flashes to try and start that fight off. And thankfully for Why Not, The runes were able to give him a little bit of life back to prevent being a casualty to make it a 1-for-1.
The thing that concerns me is that Diana's the accelerated one, because Yasuo is going to suffer for a little bit just because of the itemization that's coming out from Sejuani and the Aurelia, right? Like, look at the boots. That's just armor already sitting in their inventory. So if you're Legacy, you're laughing. You're so happy that this gold has been given to Why Not, because they don't have any defense stats or defensive stats to really counteract the burst that's going to come from Why Not. So whilst the focus is probably going to be in Curcio, like, Why Not's going to be the one doing the brunt of the damage.
Here again, Chiefs running the classic textbook play here, looking for it with Draku and Waiting Wings. Why Not jumps in, Soliflare goes AWOL, but the Moonfall locks in place 3. He has no stopwatch. It's too early on. And Swaith gets a shutdown to even out the jungle matchup.
That's a good counter gank there from the Chiefs, right? Draku finds his time out of lane to really, make his presence known there. Why Not? I think he saw Draku just a little bit too late, and when he did see him, he kind of knew he was dead. And it was a bit of a caster curse.
There goes Fiona. Knocks him up for the last breath. Synergy like you would not believe. Flash forward at him with the flamethrower. Knock him into the wall and prevent Liv from doing much more. It will be a 1-for-1 trade. And now this mid lane is really revved up.
Yeah, mid lane is heating up. The kettle's been boiled and it's, I was going to say simmering, but I don't know if the kettle simmer? Maybe.
Well, it does after it's completed boiling.
Well, I mean, if there's a Yasuo and an Aurelia, it's simmering. I don't care what anyone says. Bad luck, I'm not a Gordon Ramsay. But point is, Kisei, that play there, I would have to say, benefits Legacy. In the sense that, yeah, the Dragon goes across the Chiefs, sure, fantastic. But Kisei lost his flash and still died. So now, Why Not in Curcio have a window where Kisei cannot survive, right? Like, he's as good as dead if he's ever playing Aurelia in the wave. And to use Aurelia to the maximum potential, you need to play in the wave.
Yeah. But to the same extent, as important as timing summoners is, Swaith should be on the money here, because his timer, his flash is the exact same as Curcio and Why Not, so comms should be there.
Nice little Ripto charge here before the plates go down, so this is very close to a Ziggs execute as well. I mean, what, 1.5 more plates, that goes down, so maybe just 1 plate in general, but yeah.
Very close to it.
A little bit of a caster curse that I was going to talk about Skimmy before. I mean, we're talking about the gold being on Why Not and how good it is, and then he just goes in and dies.
Well, it just happens every single time. I don't know what it is.
Again, this is a good hover though. This is a good hover because Curcio needs that wave in. And
might just look for a cheeky 2v1. In comes Swaith at the last minute right now. He's on a power spike with the Frostfire Gauntlet. And you can start to understand the pieces of the puzzle that Legacy have put together here. Diana, Ornn, all looking to try and knock up members. Emil with his ultimate too. It could be the Incurcio show here tonight.
Yeah, that play there's a little telegraphed though, right? Because it wasn't a play that came from Fog. It was a little bit of a poke your head into the lane. Gave Swaith enough time to counter gank that in the mid lane. And it was a little bit slow on the wind wall from Incurcio, because if the Glacial Prison doesn't hit, I think Kisei dies.
Stands to reason, though. Your previous point about not having a flash. That was a bloody beautiful Bellows Breath right there. Oh, misses a second charge of it. Could have been good on to Liv, but gets headbutt into the wall. Here comes Why Not looking for the kill. He's been everywhere. What a way to introduce yourself. What a way to say you're subbed in. Big game. Get it done, son.
I'm not sure what happened top lane there. I mean, we'd have to get a whole replay on the lane, but Winter was getting the better of the trades in that particular instance, but looks like it's just going to be a kill that goes across. Incurcio has teleport. They can't do this.
Looking to force it. No ultimate. But Vanguard's edge will be there. A TP to turn things around. Now Legacy looking for the 3v2. Who do they turn their attention on towards? Swaith has flashed the ult from Aurelia to try and disengage away. He's looking for resets on the Blade Surge, but 1v4 he can't do much. W expires and so does he. Swaith now left to the wolves as multiple members of Legacy run him down topside river. It's a double kill for Why Not. He's got 5 kills to his name now, Jubes. And they can pick up the second Herald.
We're just simply existing in Why Not's playground, aren't we, Skimmy? I mean, he's having such a fantastic game, and I mean, maybe I'm just going to hold the thought before I break down that whole passage of play there, because Liv is being a little bit of a bush goblin, so he might even pick up a kill here on the style. Never mind, Arcane shift away, but I mean, it all starts from Winterer getting the better of Lived in the 1v1. Why not has the presence of mind to come topside and pick up that kill? I caught him on a recall. And then it's just a slow death. I mean, we saw this one before, so it's just as simple as you like. Good pathing there from Why Not. And it almost just feels like an overreach from Chiefs. Well, it is an overreach from Chiefs. You know, they spend all this time walking topside to try and rescue that play, and there's no tab check. There's no TP check. I thought this was Incursio's TP, but it was actually styled, and Incursio TP'd that little bit deeper. So, I mean, once you get a 4-man topside, it's as good as done. They didn't disengage quick enough. They tried to save the play, and I mean, maybe on live, we have to see what's happening.
Yeah, we go back to live, and we're just going to continue from where that replay left off. We're going to look to try and force a fight down bot side as True Shot Barrage comes from mid to bot, finds nothing. Chiefs already disengaging away. I suppose really what they were able to find amongst all that chaos where Legacy picked up the kills. They got a turret. That was a crippled one from the previous Herald. That seemed to be inevitable.
And I love this pickup from Why Not. The Zhonya's first. It's easy to get carried away in a competitive game. Oh, you know, I've got all the damage. I'm going to go Proto Belt. But really, the main thing is that you stay alive, right? Once you get into the back line and give Incursio an angle, you want to pop stasis, take the focus off you, let Winterer get time to get in there, get Emelg in there, get the boys in there, and then you can live to fight another day in that skirmy.
He's got 6 stacks in that Dark Seal. Could become 10. Could get ourselves a Magi's to follow. But let's not get too carried away. Caster Curse has done stranger things in the past. In goes the Glacial Prison. Locks in place too. The Moonfall onto multiple members. He couldn't even zone yous. A big shutdown found here by Mboma. He gets himself a triple kill amongst it all. He's been waiting for that moment. And Mboma finally gets this game back to an even state.
Yeah, that's a huge team fight coming out of Mboma. Can style lift here on the back end. Might be as good as done. He's not landing those shots.
Pincer maneuver.
Bit of damage.
2 from the river, 2 from the top. He's got to try and play this one perfectly. Oh, but the true damage from that Haymaker.
I mean, it's now Skimmy more than a 3k gold. It's a 3k gold lead. Game was looking so good for Legacy up until that point, but Swave pulls the trigger there early onto Why Not, and it's almost like the team that goes first ultimately ends up winning. You know, we'll break down this fight here, but Ornhorn's a good one, but Incursio's on the back line in isolation, and Why Not's as good as dead. Like, the Diana ult doesn't come down. Now, let's look at a world where it does. That's probably a team fight win for Legacy, so it just came down to really the Sejuani ultimate onto the Diana, the burst coming through from Mboma, and just, you know, Why Not starting that fight at what was, you know, 200 HP, and that was a majority of Legacy's gold that was just gone from the get-go. 192 damage on the Diana.
My point exactly, right? You know, he's your most fed member. There are no Merc treads. You know, you got 4 plated steel caps, ninja tabbies, whatever you want to call it. This is, as you say, Why Not's playground, but he couldn't do anything. And you can see the discrepancy as a result of how that team fight played out, because before that, Legacy had maybe a 1,500 gold lead. I think Chiefs, just on a heartbeat, got a 4K bounce back.
Yeah, and I mean, what does that do for Legacy, right? The wind in their sails. They were confident making plays all over Summoner's Rift, but now this is where you see what you're made of, right? Are you going to still be able to pull that trigger? Second Dragons as well going over to Chief, so that's a very big pickup for them, but more importantly, the turrets that they got off that play and I guess just the gold from shutdowns onto Why Not, and all of a sudden, Chiefs in control.
On the arm, second Herald will be summoned in mid lane.
It's not going to break turret, but it'll be a decent chunk.
Big chunk, as you say. We're going to look to try and really hard force this one, but Chiefs have numbers to match.
Now this Ziggs is going to become a very big problem in this game, right? 2 items. The reason I say that is because, yes, it's hard for Mboma to play the game because there's so much, you know, engage, right? He can't really do anything about the Ornhorn coming through. He can flash it if he doesn't want to get ulted by the Yasuo. But even if, in a worst case scenario, Mboma falls down, if he's able to get off the Mega Inferno Bomb, drop the minefield, and potentially land a Q, I would argue like that's his job done.
Sure.
Because Incursio is dead, or close to dead. Why Not, I would argue, is probably close to dead. And I mean, that's just cleanup crew, like cleanup on all 9. Kisei's coming in. He's got the janitor duties today, so you know, it's at a point where you need to really start being a little more elegant in how you team fight, because I don't know if Legacy will win that just head ram 5v5, whatever you want to call it.
It feels like the mid jungle that have been really highlighted for its potential and its explosive nature when we've actually seen it in a full 5v5 scope. That Glacial Prison is causing a lot of headaches right now. Feels like a bit of a comparison really as to who can get the stun first. Is it the Sejuani or is it the Brom?
Yeah. And that's what I say, these compositions, like when you play hard engage versus hard engage, sometimes it ultimately is just who goes first. Because, you know, if One-Not goes first in that instance, he's actually not chunked, and he pops the stasis on their backline instead, right? So, I mean, it's pretty much what PGG talk about week upon week. They just gave Decoy the license to just go. Whenever you see it, just go. Pull the trigger. And maybe that's the inexperience around these dragons, around these, you know, big team fight scenarios that Legacy are missing. Or Legacy are trying to, I guess, find. Because up until that point, they played a very good game. But this is why Chiefs are where they are in the league. Because they have that experience to pull the game back. And I mean, that's actually what we touched on prior to the games even starting, right? Legacy probably getting a lead and Chiefs just pulling it back.
Yeah. And as we say, that seems to have been, unfortunately, the habit, really, that has formed across the split for Legacy.
Yeah.
Whereas Chiefs, they have been known for the team that wants to be the battering ram, wants to force those team fights. It's always interesting seeing the drafts that teams come up with. Are you just going to say, we're going to out-team fight you? Or do you have something creative up your sleeve, like how teams have used to take down Chiefs in the past? It's slowed down a fraction since that big swing of gold going the way of Chiefs at the Dragon Pit. We're 23 minutes into this one right now. Why Not does now have his Mythic in the Hex deck.
The problem that you have now, Skimmy, is like you can't do anything mid lane. The Ziggs has just decided, you know, whatever lane Ziggs decides to hold, you can't push. Now, they get this tier 1 top turret, that's fine, fantastic, that's nice. But I mean, at the expense of what's going to be a sole point. So,
Kissay getting all in on right now. Blade surging to try and get a little bit of life steal. Flashing away to try and jump back into Vanguard's edge. It falls on down. Here goes the Glacial Prison to try and turn things around. Actually, it's the Bromdor. Knock them up. Because you're not allowed into this party, say Legacy, because they want to try and take them all right now. Winter soaking up a one-man ult from the Sejuani. Falls for his crime, and Boma, ult job done. Flashing forward, Sejuani in the mix of it. Looking to apply the passive and prevent the disengage away here from Legacy. As Stard will have to settle for an ultimate to trim this wave and prevent any further members falling down.
I'd love to see how Lift actually survived there. I understand the Sterax was a very big component, but when I look at Incursio's items, he has a little bit of heal cut, but the Gore Drinker just did a little bit too much. I mean, if Liv falls down there on the back end, maybe a different story, but again, Chiefs just with these little outplays, these 1%ers, maybe a bit too much experience.
Wow, the timing just really does favour Chiefs right now. They can deploy back onto the map. They are hard committing to this Baron.
That's gone.
Legacy can't respond. Jungler locked in the base. Winter without a TP. They'd have to try and 50-50 it. Very hard without a smite. Now fight's going to break out 5v3. The Chiefs are trying to disengage away. And Styles being a nuisance on the flank. Not enough.
And they don't have a knock-up there for Incursio, right? Maybe there's a knock-up, they go for the big play. But I mean, watch this. This is a very good pick. And Kisei being a little bit too aggressive, looks for kind of the trophy moment, but doesn't find it. At this point here, you can play for that turret. Like, you don't need to be diving. I mean, look at the damage that comes through from the Ziggs Bomb, the set Haymaker, and he survives on the back end. And they are tanking turret, so it is an additional man there for the Chiefs. But again, you know, they got to be happy with just finding that pick. Find the one pick, set up, take an objective. But I mean, you know, you don't have to win a fight. You don't have to kill everyone. And now they lose the Baron because of it.
I'm terrified, though, of the Ziggs. You mentioned it already. 4-1 and 2 now. Well in his way to get himself that Rabadon's cap, too. He doesn't even have to burn the stopwatch.
And, well, that's the problem, Skimmy. You nailed it. You haven't made him burn the stopwatch. So, he hasn't even burnt the flash. So, he's able to just keep building damage as opposed to utility and survivability. Because if this is a game where the engages are being pulled on in Boma, he actually rushes the Zhonyas, right? As a third or a second, even. But in this particular game, there's no threat, still flash, still stopwatch. That's probably the next 2 5v5s that he's safe for. By then, he's going to have a death cap.
He has become a marked man, though. We can see there from the graphic that Anathema's chains have been placed on his head. So Mboma clearly is the target. The response back from Chiefs in Swave's inventory. Meant to see where that has gone towards, as a couple of those empowerments now. The ornaments, as you will, level 14, soon to be 15, and that could be enough if the game stays at this current pace, despite Baron being in Chief's back pocket. Might mean that we have an even playing field for another big team fight.
Nice win wall there.
Knock up. A lot of damage being copped here by Liv. Forced to pop the Haymaker to get that grit. The shield expires, but it did its job.
I mean, Boma's just playing, what is it, School Shot Simulator. Like, he's just landing all of them on Incursio. He has to go home. And they're going to push again.
40 seconds left on the Baron buff. The siege continues.
The problem that they do have is that Mboma can't walk up ever really to hit the turret, because then he's in the why not range, right?
Yep.
No flash.
And Kisse now, once again, it's the focus from laning to here. Glacial Fissure knocks them up. Swaif in trouble, but can disengage away as a healthy tank.
Yep. And what do they get off this though, right? Because Mboma's still alive, full HP, full mana. He's just going to clear the minion wave. They're not even going to get a turret, but it's a nice pick, right? You know, what it does is it stalls the Baron. But the thing I wanted to touch on was that, yeah, like you look at the Ziggs and you think, not a comp with range, but he can't walk up and hit turret. And the siege on those turrets isn't really going to do anything because Kisse can't walk up, Liv can't walk up. It's a good hold from Legacy, but they're 6k down now.
Couple of thousand gold found from the Baron buff for what it can achieve as the acquisition as well as the pushing power of it, but not much more from there.
And this is the big one. I mean, this is the be-all and end-all if you're a Legacy fan, right? The Ocean Soul that's about to be spawning, because if you had trouble taking down Livs before, I mean, with the Soul, you're not going to get through him. So, Heal Cut being picked up. They have Heal Cut in every single role now, obviously bar the bot lane. And there is an ornament now that's come through for the Ezreal. So if they ever are to win a team fight in this game, now would be the time.
Now would be the time. Double stopwatch, triple stopwatch actually on the side of Chiefs.
Yep.
Not a single one found here in the inventories of Legacy. Chiefs could reset. They could turn these things around. They could wait for the perfect team fight. But they're going to look to try and turn their attention onto Mel, who's just being separated from the rest of the herd. The Solar Flare goes out into Incursio. Two members lock themselves in place from Legacy. Last breath goes out, knocking members up. But Permafrost cancels him out of this game. Chiefs cold as ice. Just take down anybody in their sights and get 4.
Yeah, and this might be game skimmy. I mean, that's just such a good team fight from Chiefs. They're really pushing the limits there. Like Kisse is walking up 1v2, forcing the agenda onto MLG. MLG is unfortunately caught out of position, and it's just so disjointed. Legacy just throwing cooldowns all over the place. Really well executed team fight there from the Chiefs.
Well, if this is to be the final siege, Legacy, they have had to make Chiefs work for it.
Yep.
Credit where credit is due to Why Not. What a phenomenal performance. A debut here in split number 2. They weren't able to get the dub here, but they've certainly shown what they're about. As Chiefs will find themselves still sitting in second place.
Yeah, second place and a very good game from them, right? In the sense that they had to overcome a little bit of adversity, right? And I mean, as a team, you don't mind that. You don't mind that heading into playoffs, heading into where games really matter. You know, Kisse usually is the strong point of this team and has to perform very well for Chiefs to have a very good game. And, you know, he took a little bit of a backseat, had a rough one, and Mboma just stepped up. I'd love to see the damage graph, see what he did there.
Yeah, well, it was clearly that the identification was go towards mid lane. It was even going to be a case of you're going to become 10-0 or 1-5, which is what the case was there for Kisse. Unable to really play to his fullest extent there, Mac, as we welcome you back. We talk about that matchup as Chiefs get the dub.
They certainly did, and they absolutely smashed it, especially towards the end of the game. Also, look, early game, I was so impressed by Why Not. You guys sung his praises all caster, so I don't think I can continue doing that one because I'm sure he knows he played a spectacular game. Unfortunately, it just wasn't spectacular enough. That fight around the dragon, I think it was that second dragon, just went, was the point where everything started to go south for Legacy. Chiefs just hitting everything. That Mega Inferno Bomb just dropping straight on the team fight, just dishing out so much damn damage. So Mboma really is in that pole position for maybe making himself the player that delivered. Do we have any other recommendations from the two casteronis, Jubes?
I'm on the Mboma bandwagon today.
100%. Yeah, 100%. I've already typed it in chat. I'm ready to rock and roll, mate. We're a man of multitasking. Look, I mean, for him, it's probably the perfect game. You know, you chuck at your ultimate, sure. The rest of your team are falling around you, but you're just untouched. And, you know, the fact that he doesn't have to ever burn the stopwatch, let alone the flash, that he respects that the only way that they can really come back into this game is if he looks to try and step up in Siege. They just knew that if it came to a 4-5v5, they trusted in themselves to win that one out.
Yeah, it was just a great game to watch. Interesting with the Diana play coming out from Why Not, and he didn't even do the most damage. It was old mate styled in the bot lane doing that on the Ez. But again, everyone says that Ez can dish out so much damage, so I guess there's no real surprises there. However, you're looking at the numbers. Jubes, I know you're not a man about numbers, so I'll ask Skimmy. All right, stats Skimmy. Anything here that stands out to you?
Well, you love to see from the likes of Ziggs and Ezreal, obviously. But yeah, I'm happy to see how much the mid jungle of Legacy were able to put out, right? They clearly had an early game advantage, and it just feels so redundant and so frustrating to have to say this, but you know, they get these big leads, they really bring it to these teams, and then something happens, maybe a little bit of an overreach, maybe a little bit of too much confidence, and you know, a fight doesn't go their way, and I don't know if it takes the wind out of the sails as such, but ever since that moment, Chiefs just clearly knew how to come back.
Yeah, it looks like overall the damage dealt from Legacy was actually higher as well, so looks like Chiefs just had that little bit of extra mitigation and then survived on low HP so many times, as you all did see. Someone else that's very good at surviving on minimal HP is Nat. So let's ask her all the secrets. How do you come back from the grave, Nat?
You just gotta pray that you have really good teammates around you. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, that's the ultimate way. But I am gonna jump in to a chat with Lived, and maybe I can ask him that question. Congratulations, Lived, on the win. How does it feel? You guys got 2 wins this week.
Yeah, it feels good. Yeah, that's all. Sorry,
yeah,
feels good.
Not that much to it, you know, just another day in the Chiefs camp. I love it. Let's talk about this game, though. Anything surprising from the side of you guys for that draft? Like, were you taken, like, did anything take you by surprise?
We were surprised they picked Diana. We thought they were going to flex at mid because we don't know Why Not for much of a Diana player, but other than that, not really.
Yeah, and that early game for you guys was really rough. We saw Why Not rotating a lot. Was it just a different game style coming out from them, or why do you think that early game was such a struggle for you guys?
Yeah, it's a bit different the way they play. Civils they're very different junglers, so you kind of have to like swap the way you play against them. So yeah, that's probably what caught us off guard.
And when, like, I guess that team fight around the dragon happened, what was the communications like to be able to come out on top for that fight?
Well, we just have an incredibly strong 5v5. Like, Sejuani Aurelia and Ziggs is just an incredibly hard 5v5 to lose. So, yeah, I think we had just a better team comp in the 5v5 and just better teamwork, I think.
It's just that draft gap that people keep talking about. But after that team fight did go in the favor of you guys, what was the game plan? You know, obviously, aside from the try not to overextend and throw the lead, how were you guys talking and communicating about closing that game out?
Yeah, I mean, we just tried to take objectives slowly. We didn't want to like overreach because if we just throw like, they have like a very strong team, they actually outscale us, so we didn't want to just like completely throw it, but we just tried to play, like, take everything that we could without overextending too much and just take all the towers.
Well, it worked out in your favor. Congratulations again for the win tonight, and thank you for joining me.
Thanks.
He looks pretty sharp now that he's shaved, doesn't he? He had a little bit of fluff there before, but that's all gone. Same can be said for Mboma. So both of them looking real trim. Can't say the same for me and Jubes at least. Skimmy, you want to give us some pointers?
Just don't grow it.
Ah, true. Well,
what is Skimmy thinking about?
I think Skimmy's muted. That's okay. Oh, Skimmy, are we back on camera?
I'm just crying. I'm trying to cry. I'm trying to be dramatic, but it sucked.
Okay.
Okay? Okay, let's just move past that one. Cool. I guess I'm clearly not an actor. I'm not going to get into any TV shows after this. But yeah, cool.
Might get a call from home and away after it. You never know.
You just need to rub a bit of chili on your eyes, mate. Look, you want one of these? You want that?
Yeah,
oh,
yeah. Let's get a little
we're
bit
not too far away from one another. You can come
that's 1.5.
Get in there. Get in there. You know, squeeze it. Wait, you don't squeeze chili.
I feel like I'm being assaulted in the middle of them.
That's all right. Look, maybe we can swap some camera positions. Anyway, we do have to quickly talk about the DoorDash player that delivered, and I think it's no surprise to anyone that it was Mboma doing damn good jobs for the Chiefs there in the bot lane, and did all the team fights too, and even running it down mid towards the end. So 5-1-4 And 69% kill participation. Juves, do you like that number?
Yeah, the big bombs. No, I don't like that number, actually. I like the damage share number, 36%. I'm more of a 36% guy myself.
Okay.
Okay.
You know, that's a pretty big damage share. Obviously, having the Poke Champion on the Ziggs. However, Mboma was just in the right place, the right time, all of the game. And, you know, throwing out those skill shots, hitting a lot of the skill shots, right, which is sometimes a bit of a factor that needs to be considered when playing the Ziggs. So, yeah, very good performance from him and happy to see that one.
Yeah, he's very good on a lot of those skill shot chances in his skimmy, just always able to connect the dots and get the dubs for the Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as we saw the fact that auto supports had roamed off elsewhere, right, Mboma clearly in his comfort zone, he's thinking Heimelinger, Ezreal, Ziggs, whatever it might be, skill shot champions, they're his forte. So a very sexy performance from him today.
Ooh.
You say sexy?
Yeah, he did. Just
I
like
did
the music.
because you like 36 and I like...
30. Sexy.
Sexy performances?
But
Roll
no,
back the numbers.
he said sexy as this music came on.
Yeah.
And it's like sexy music too, right?
Hey.
Like I'm
I feel like we're missing the real, you know, elephant in the room here. Juves, what nickname did you give him, Boma?
the big bones. That's what I call him.
Yeah, the big bones.
The big bones.
I've never heard that.
The
I
big
love
bomber.
it.
Oh, right. Well, my mum always told me I was big boned as well. But look, let's have a look at game number 3 of the evening. It's going to be Gravitas taking on Order, which is, of course, on the other side of this break. Enjoy. Come along from Kinder.
Bit of a caster curse.
Knocks him up for the last breath. Synergy like you would not believe. Flash forward at him with the flamethrower. Knock him into the wall and prevent Liv from doing much more. Could get ourselves a Magi's to follow. But let's not get too carried away. Caster Curse has done stranger things in the past. In goes the Glacial Prism. Locks in place 2. The move full on to multiple members. He couldn't even zone use. A big shutdown found here by Mboma. He gets himself a triple kill amongst it all. They could turn these things around. They could wait for the perfect team fight.